we knew that the kid was talented, but the maturation process of going through the whole draft and realizing that, wow, we have Drew Allar here that can fucking sling it.
2 out of 5 of the guys that we were very high on, and Ty Simpson and Drew Allar, went exactly to the situations that we said would be best for them.
I think for Mike McCarthy, I think he might have Howard behind, but I don't know, because it's close. It's because like when I see Howard, it's like high floor, but when I look at Drew Allar, it's like high ceiling.
Talk about Drew Allar a little bit, man.
Man, there was one of the biggest like rookie quarterback winners of the weekend, man. Again, you know, we know this is Aaron
smile
Rodgers.
From ear to ear, brother.
Oh, dude, I was the meme of George Pickens just standing at the TV. I was like, this is exactly what we saw and exactly what we said, man. Ever since, you know, not ever since before the combine, but I think we started the speculations of him to Pittsburgh just make sense at the combine about around that time, because it just seems like a Mike McCarthy pick. And, you know, as we saw this preseason game, it's been playing out as well. You know, I don't think the encouraging part of the whole thing of, you know, his whole debut was like, oh, his yardage or his touchdown. Obviously, you know, the dead target onto Winjet for like, what, that 76-yard run all the way up to the 1 yard line.
Yep.
But I think it was more so, it was the fact of how he commanded the offense, you know?
Exactly.
It didn't really look like a shaky rookie quarterback. He was there, he was large, he was in charge, and I think that, you know, Will Howard looked pretty good, but I think that alone gives him a step over Will Howard.
He was large and in charge?
Oh, I was like, what?
No. Lincoln, what did you think before? I got a lot of thoughts on.
I mean, I've been telling like I've been watching Drew Allar ever since, like, I think during his like his peak years in Penn State, where before he got injured. I think it was 2020
Cold Nicky era.
Yeah, before the Cold Nicky era. And then I was just like, there's no way he looks this bad, because it's just kind of like, it's just like the way people just calling him trash, and I'm just like, there's no way. Because
Yeah.
And everybody was just trashing on him so much, and I was just like, there's no way, because I have him as my 1, and I have Ty Simpson second, and Mendoza is my 3rd. And then to the point where it was just like, I like watching through training camp, and Mike McCarthy is doing all the work of just like fixing his footwork and everything. And I was like, he's gonna look good. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. I think Ty Simpson got the, how can I put this? Ty Simpson and Carson Beck were kind of in a similar situations when it comes down to the Dylan Thieneman pick when Oregon came to their house in overtime and he threw that pick and everybody was like, oh, don't matter. I don't give a fuck about what Drew Allar did this whole game. He's ass. Right. And that's not necessarily like, you can't necessarily just put all the eggs in the basket. And that's exactly what happened to Carson Beck in the national championship. And of course he had some other times, but people don't look at, oh, Carson Beck was 18-4 against top 25 teams in his whole damn career. But we're all looking at him as like this mediocre quarterback. And then he comes out there with a ton of experience and is the first quarterback this preseason that we're talking about. Right. And me and Lincoln jumped on the show that day and told you guys, like, I was more surprised by Haynes King because we got to see him actually throw the ball. Right. He didn't panic and have to rely on his legs. But Carson Beck commanded the offense like he was a veteran quarterback. The thing about people could get pissed off. I don't give a shit. The thing about Fernando Mendoza and what Drew Allar did, to me, are on 2 totally different spectrums. Fernando Mendoza had like 2 great throws. And everybody's like, wow, that's an NFL throw. Well, he's in the fucking NFL now. So I would expect him to make those goddamn throws. Like, especially against the backups. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this dude was a Heisman winning quarterback and had all the talent that we talked about, but became haters all of a sudden, even though we were talking about Fernando Mendoza 3 years ago, we knew that the kid was talented. But the maturation process of going through the whole draft and realizing that, wow, we have Drew Allar here that can fucking sling it, bro. and he looks poised at times. But then Andy Kotelnicki will run 6 running plays and then tell him, you know what? Go out there and throw a backside fade right now. And it's like, well, dude, my arm ain't even warmed up. You're not even going to let me. You're not. Right. Let's get into the short game. And what did the Steelers do? Short game, short game, short game, short game, short game. Get us down the field. If you need to run the ball on this read option, do it, Drew, because we know that you have some athleticism. And I think that's the one thing I can almost thank Andy Kotelnicki for, is like kind of getting them in the mode of like, you're more athletic than you were. Because coming out of high school, he was a pocket guy. But the one thing people just tend to ignore is kind of like pitchers in baseball. If this dude's arm is not warmed up, how do you expect him to go out there and make the routine throw after routine throw after routine throw that the Fernando Mendozas of the world are making? And you can't compare the situations. Yeah, he had Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen, but then guess who's their third running back? Drew was their third running back. So this is what I was saying. Like, when people don't understand the dynamics of like Andy Kotelnicki coming from Kansas, coming to Penn State, who is his quarterback that always got hurt until he left? Jalen Daniels.
I keep wanting to say Jaden, but yeah, Jalen.
The parallels, and he's back at Kansas, so whoever that, I forgot whoever their quarterback is, man. Praying to God for you every day, brother, because it has not looked great for any quarterback that's been under center for Andy Kotelnicki at this point. They eventually just always get hurt. But I love the fact that he commanded the offense. He looked like an NFL quarterback, bro. I don't know.
I also really liked how confident he was in the pocket, because again, it was very much the run when you need to run, but you know, in the pocket, composed, worked on the short game, and I feel like that kind of silenced some of the criticism, because I would say that it wasn't the fact that he lacked physical ability. We know that he's got arm talent. We know that he can run the ball, but it was more so of like I guess a lot of people questioned the decision making that he made, and I feel like again, this first preseason, a lot of those doubts were kind of silenced.
Facts. I'm gonna read you a little something that I posted on Twitter, and I think both of you guys have seen it. In my final breakdown on my draft guide, here's one of the things I said. I said, here's the best way to put out Allar's potential. Do not let him go. Do not let him go and sit behind a Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford. Here's why. Those quarterback time is almost up in this league. The best way to pass the torch is to pass it to a traditional quarterback like Allar with the escapability that both of them have. The best part of Allar's game is his ability to go through his progressions. If his feet are set and there is a difficult throw to make, he will make you pay every single time. Don't let the right team draft Allar. It will be hell to pay. So when I compared Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, I'm also throwing Aaron Rodgers in the same category. Yeah. Like, you just have to assume that this is the situation that I was talking about, right?
Especially when he, after weeks and, even before, like, only a couple of days leading up to the draft, it was like, is Aaron coming back? Then, he comes back on the 1-year deal and he states, like, this is my last year. So, and again, I feel like Pittsburgh's got probably one of the best situations at the quarterback right now. You've got Aaron Rodgers, who can probably, will you to maybe the playoffs, maybe even winning the division, depending on how things go. And behind him are two very young quarterbacks that are battling to be able to take the torch, Will Howard and Drew Allar. And it's kind of funny as well that we said, you mentioned Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff. And 2 of the guys that we were very high on, 2 out of 5 of the guys that we were very high on, and Ty Simpson and Drew Allar, went exactly to the situations that we said would be best for them to learn under somebody that's getting ready to leave, like an Aaron Rodgers and a Matthew Stafford.
But here's the thing that's so unique about the Steelers situation is exactly what you said. So let's get down to the grains of this, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is on his way out. And Aaron Rodgers, out of Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, has a little bit of an ego where he might not always pass everything over. So which is going to fire the other 2 quarterbacks out, because they're going to try to pay attention to everything that he does because they know the information is limited.
Yeah, but look at Jordan Love as an example.
Yeah, but even more so this year, we already know it's his last year, so he's been more willing to do that. We saw him on the sidelines doing that. So that's valuable, and that's kind of what they would get, or that Drew would have got with the other two. But here's the X factor. Will Howard is a quarterback that Drew knows because they played against each other. Will was in a particular situation coming to the Steelers, being in the same situation, but Drew is there now to push Will, but we all know Will is not as talented as Drew. So with that being said, is now you have the veteran who's a little gatekeepy, but willing to give information out that it's his last year. You have Will, who's not gatekeepy, but is your direct competition because he's the youngest guy there fighting for a position. And then you have you as Drew Allar that's getting all the hype, that got drafted, that's from the air, that played in the area. People are hyped for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like a recipe. Oh, and he's from Medina, Ohio, which is not that far away from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of positives riding for him. And then
I mean, you even saw how crazy the stadium went when he got drafted.
But here's the other part of it. There's one more puzzle piece to this equation. I don't know who Mason Rudolph is favoring in this offense as far as giving information to. And it's probably Drew. I mean, if I was the guy that was like, man, I sat behind some good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I even went to other teams to try to be the starter. I just wasn't that guy. Just like I compared Mason Rudolph as just Shador Sanders to me. I said that, and now everybody gets it. But it just depends on where Mason is in that maturation process. But he can be a mediator for Will and Drew and being like, dude, this is what you got to do at this level. And he's probably more willing to give information, which he's a veteran too. So they have one veteran who's an all-star, or who was an all-star. You have another veteran who knows what it's like to be the number two. You have a third guy who was drafted to come in to be the backup and possibly move into the start. And then you have Drew, the hot hand that's really propelled himself now. So
absolutely.
I mean, Will played his ass off too. Let's not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you had both. If I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I'm walking away with that. There's real quarterback competition at who's going to be the quarterback next year, and I'm fairly confident in these two young guys.
Yeah, I am too, man. Any other rookies that we maybe glossed over? Jalen Daniels played his ass off the other day. I mean,
yeah,
came in, looked really good.
I also, kind of last thing that I want to add about the, the Steelers and all that. I kind of want to pose the question of, you mentioned Aaron Rodgers being a bit gatekeepy, and this is factual, obviously, but with this last year, we've kind of already seen how he is. The whole Pat McAfee talking about Fauci, and he's more like, I just don't care anymore. What are you gonna do? But I also wonder if it's just because now, if he's willing to give up more information because of Mike McCarthy being the head coach instead of LaFleur when that happened. Because obviously, they won the Super Bowl, McCarthy and Rodgers, and also, of whatever Rodgers is gatekeeping, do you think McCarthy knows and he's just teaching them there? Or he's just teaching them that information, I should say.
I don't know. What do you think, Link?
I don't know, because it might be like, I think for Mike McCarthy, I think he might have Howard behind, but I don't know, because it's close. It's because like when I see Howard, it's like high floor, but when I look at Drew Allar, it's like high ceiling.
Yeah. Ah, man. It's a unique situation.
Yeah, because I can see Mason Rudolph being as a quarterback 3, but I can see
I see Mason Rudolph doing kind of similar to like what Josh McCown was, kind of like an emergency quarterback, but he was the veteran guy, It was he came in when he was needed to. He was like I don't want to say he was the emergency quarterback because that's more so dating back when the NFL had it with COVID of like, hey, here's your emergency quarterback, and that's what he was for the Eagles. But it was like, McCown is still able to impart his wisdom. I mean, hell, he's a quarterback coach now, and that's kind of what I think of Mason Rudolph. He knows that he's not going to be a starter. He knows that potentially he may be a QB2 or a QB3. I think he's kind of more so embraced the teaching role, and when his name is called on, if his name is called on, that's when he kind of steps up.
Yeah. Torque said, let the boys play at least one more preseason game before we pick the Steelers quarterback of the future.
I know Torque was fuming watching Drew Allar play. He said, this can't be.
That boy said.
I know. He was fuming. He was mad.
You ever seen the Spider-Man meme where he's walking away and all the destruction's happening behind him? He's just got his head down.
That was, I can't believe it. Gridiron Apex. They tried to tell me.
Strike again. Yeah, I mean, it is. We have to be honest. All of this is overreaction. We totally get it. But it's only overreaction when you don't know what you're looking at either. Because I said it on Twitter. If you're watching stats and just think that guy was great versus watching what Drew Allar did by commanding the offense or what Ty Simpson did by commanding the offense and looking comfortable, we got to stop giving the thing that I hate with people is when you can be nitpicky in the process. And I'm nitpicky in the process. That's why we hit on a lot of players. You have to be nitpicky, and you have to know what you're looking at. But when you're nitpicky in the NFL, and then you start giving excuses of, well, look at who the receivers are. Look at who his offensive line is, because that's the thing about Ty Simpson. His offensive line is supposed to always block good. But also, when Geno Smith with the Raiders last year was getting in fights with the fans and just playing uninspired, and everybody knows the relationship between him and the coach where it's, oh, this guy's like my son. I don't know if the offensive line was more willing to block for that guy than they would be for having respect for Matthew Stafford and trying to work themselves up to being able to block for that guy and being able to, in that situation, knowing if I block well for Ty, I'm finding myself in another position to block for Matthew and being part of the starting line and winning a trophy. So to me, it all starts with the attitudes of who you're playing for, because there are some petty ass players, bro. I mean, I literally, when I was in high school, I got in a fight with our guard, and he had let a guy just come and cream me, bro. Hey, yo, pause. But just let this guy through, and then that same play, I went up to him, and I was like, I grabbed him in his face mask. I said, you just let that shit happen, didn't you? And I went to the coach. I'm like, you saw that shit, right? He just let that shit happen. That dude shouldn't be on this team. I don't think Geno was like that. But you know who is? And we've seen do it before? Matthew Stafford. He going to command that whole offense to play together. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. There's like levels to everything. And why did the Steelers offensive line with Broderick Jones playing at left tackle block so well now? They suck balls the last couple of years. Yeah. And they looked good when Drew was in there.
I think it's been, 3 of the last 5 or 6 first-round picks have all been offensive linemen.
They've just been striking out,
because every single time it doesn't. Maybe it's finally panned out. Maybe the process has been 6 years of this.